What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to what I'm just going to go ahead right now and call part 2 of the colorful iGame GeForce RTX 3080 Advanced, maybe or maybe not OC edition model. And the reason is, well, I was hoping to have the actual review up and published. See, Colorful was actually one of the first people to reach out and send a card to us for the RTX 3080, which was pretty exciting, and they got it to us about the same time that we got the Founders Edition card. But one thing that they did do is they reached out to us right before we got started testing, asking if we had any issues with it. And at the time, well, we really didn't, because we hadn't got around to testing. And I told them, it's like, you know what, I tell you what, I'll let you know if I have any issues when I start testing it. So the first thing I did was I started off with the stock clock. So it had two BIOSes. It had the button for turbo and then normal. The normal one was just that. It was reference clock speeds, so 1710 on the boost clock, and the base clock of 14 something. It was 1440, I believe. Anyway, it stayed there. And at the end of the day, compared to the Founders Edition, the advanced, the colorful iGame Advanced model, it performed the same, but ran a lot cooler. I mean, we're talking like in the mid 60s compared to 77, 78 Celsius. But in the middle of that, we got a notification from Colorful, like, hey guys, there's going to be a new BIOS for the card. We're going to send that out to you along with the software for it. I was like, cool. Well, I mean, the software controls the lighting on the card and the overclocking and all of that. So they sent it over along with the new BIOS. I followed the instructions and flashed the BIOS over to the overclocked BIOS and started running the test and found that it was performing the same. So I checked the clock rates, it was running the same. And I checked GPU-Z and it was, again, the same. So I go and I emailed them. I said, hey guys, I think I misflashed. I used the wrong BIOS, something, and I refreshed it. And they were like, yeah, we're working on that. And then they came back and said, hey, we're gonna pick that card up and we're gonna send you guys a new card. If you want to review that card as a non-overclock card, that's fine. But if you'd rather wait, we completely understand. And the fact that the review isn't live, even though I finished all of the graphs, it's actually sitting right there is the unfinished review. The only thing that's left is the conclusion, which I left because I was like, well, I want to get the overclocked results and stuff. So they're going to actually replace the card, and I'm wondering if it has something to do with news that come out from Igor's lab and then was followed up by Jay's 2 cents. Now, if you've seen the review or the article from Igor, and you've seen the video from Jay, I'm pretty sure you've seen those before you come here. Jay actually had this card, and he broke it down, and we kind of found the same thing. I was wondering if maybe there was a difference in the card or not, but turns out they were the same. So the big thing here is the difference between, so the Founders Edition where we start off, had no problems with that, had no problems with the reference clocks on this card, and I never got to check the OC BIOS because I flashed it to, well, factory default clocks before I even got to check it. So yay me on that one. So I can't really go back. I don't have a copy of the BIOS. I thought I was getting the new one, and language barriers, it happens, guys. But the thing that Igor found was a difference between MLCCs, or multi-layer ceramic chip capacitors, that were used on the Founders Edition as opposed to pause caps, or conductive polymer tantalum solid capacitors used on some of the AIB cards. Now, on the back of the card for the Advance here from Colorful has 6 pause caps, and what you would find on like the Founders Edition is 4 pause caps on the 4 corners, and the 2 centers would be MLCCs. Now, some of the other cards like the Tough Gaming have MLCCs through the center. Some, I believe MSI has 5 pause caps with 1 MLCC in the center, and those cards seem to be doing all pretty good. But what's happening is some of these cards are boosting a little bit too high, and there's some stability issues, and it's going back to it's crashing to the desktop. We never experienced that, but again, we only ever got to run this card at the default clock speed, so the reference clock speeds. It's unfortunate, but the fact that Colorful doesn't seem to have sent these cards out to retailers yet means that they are doing some working. Now, maybe their reworking is replacing the pause caps, with some MLCCs, I mean, they're sending me a new card, and they wouldn't. I kept asking, well, why don't you just send me a BIOS? I'm capable of flashing. It's a pretty simple thing. I've done it hundreds of times. I'd be more than happy to do it here. And they're like, no, we're just going to send you a new card. I think they're still working out some of the kinks. So while they're working out the kinks on their card, we're going to withhold our review until they get that worked out, just because they reached out to us over 10 days ago, guys. Actually, 10 days exactly to the date that I'm actually recording the video, which is Friday, September 25th, post a lot of the news going around. And I know there's going to be a lot of people talking about it, and some people aren't going to understand it entirely, but a lot of what's going on as far as these components go with the MLCC and the PODS caps is a lot of it has to do with radio noise and electrical noise interfering with the frequencies that the GPU is running at. Is the easiest and most simple way that I can explain it. I'm sure some people out there way smarter than I am are going, Keith, you're stupid. It's way more complicated than that, but I just want you to get an idea that it's something that can be fixed. In fact, I've talked to a few people who have cards that they got, and because there are some people out there that were able to buy them, and I'm waiting to hear if they have some of the problems. I'm going to talk them through undervolting to see if perhaps it's something as simple as a slight undervolt. I don't know. These cards are pretty aggressive on the voltage. I have found that. So that's something I'm working on. So, stay tuned if you want to see some undervolting results that I'm working on, as well as a guide on how to do it. But I did want to give kudos to Colorful, because they could have let us go forward with the review and found 100 excuses to blame us for it. But they detected a problem early. They reached out to us who had the cards to see if we had the problems. I did not have the problem yet because I didn't test it yet in the scenario that they were talking about. And rather than saying it is what it is, they're working on fixing it. Good job, Colorful. Very happy to hear that. Really kind of wish now that these cards were more readily available in Western markets, like here in the US. But either way, guys, if you got a 3080 out there and you're having these problems, let us know down in the comment section. In fact, feel free, and you don't have to reach out to the WCCF Tech Twitter. You can reach out to my Twitter handle. It's Keith Plays PC. I'd love to hear from you. We can chat and see maybe if we can get to this. See, I sometimes get excited when there's little things like this, because it means there's a lot more to it than just it's boring, you stick it in and it works. It's not the best thing to happen for when you buy the card, I get that, but it means that there's a lot more conversation to be had. These cards perform really well, they undervolt really well. There's a lot of untapped potential, and I'm really excited to see where we go from here. So if you had any comments, you know where to leave them. If you liked it, you know how to do all that. Subscribe, hit that notification bell so that we don't miss you guys in the next one.